Hi, welcome to a new video dedicated to a new compact FPV HD brushless machine. This is the version V2 of the Makerfire Armor 85. So by its name we understand that it's an 95mm tiny whoop style machine and equipped at front of the Cadex Turtle V2. So able to both FPV the signal into a CVBS component and filming in 1080p up to 60 frames per second, more or less JLO free, the current FPV session. That's great, and now you know that Cadex also deliver a new 4K model, a dual camera version, but the first feedback are not so good. So is not yet the 4K solution. At least here we have a basic machine in V2. So the first one was unfortunately presenting some JLOs. We will see if in this V2 most of these problems are gone, and let's discover the content of this box. Okay, first of all, we find an instruction manual by Makerfire. One side is in Chinese and the second side is the English version, where you can find all the items inside the box, how to bind. Okay, we have a FreeSky XM, so it's not the XM Plus, this is a very basic D16 receiver from FreeSky. We have a compatible Spectrum DSM2 DSMX version as well, and a FlySky RX2A. Notice there is also a Futaba SFH compatible version as well. Good news, there is a video transmitter with a compatibility with smart audio. It means that through your OSD you will be able to set your video frequency, video band and output power. In terms of electronic, is not among the latest. We have just a basic Omnibus F3 board with at least a built-in Betaflight OSD chip. The ESC are D-Shock C600 compatible. They are rated 10 amperes, so strong enough for 3S application. So let's continue to discover with accessories. We have a basic USB charger for the battery, of course, up to 2 ampere and ending with only a 2S LiPo GST XH compatible balancer plug. The machine I will show in few instants. Oh, we have for the Cadex Turtle V2 this small OSD menu board, very important to set some specific Cadex tunes, parameters, okay, and especially the auto recording at boot could be a nice option. Okay, we have a 2S LiPo battery ending with XT30 connector, 45C for discharge rate, and that's all, 2S. A set of 4 spare props, there are some 19 something, very styled and profiled, and some 2 sets of stickers, at least with some number, maybe for racing. One red sticks band and one black one, and some advertising Makerfire cards. So let's have a look to the machine. Oh, it's a full plastic based, except the bottom side, which is carbon based. Let's have a look to the thickness of it. It seems to be a little bit higher than 2mm. Yes, it's 2mm side, and we have for each motors we have some Makerfire branded, and there are some 1103 announced to be 10,000 kV. So don't expect to run it at 4S. Of course, both motors and ESC will burn. So first things about the canopy structure is full plastic bait, at least on top, and immediately I have to warn that the position, the tilt orientation of the camera is fixed, is something about, as you can see, about 20-25 degrees, but unfortunately you cannot adjust by yourself this one. So it's fixed one. Good option or not. If it's reducing the JLO, could be nice. Okay, let's see, we will see in the field. So on the left side we can see, we try to pick a small branch. We can see the microphone here of the codecs, the plug for the OSD board, and here we have an already pre-inserted one, a micro SD slot. So the metallic pads must be towarding bottom, okay, and just above we have the micro USB plug for the F3 board. So you just need to pinch with your thumb the micro SD card to insert. Be aware to not put it just above, because you will be the card will be between the Cadex board and the F3 board, so be aware, and you must hear a click when it's really well inserted. On the dual side, okay, so on the right side, you have here the button to start or stop recording. This is the one. So very good news compared, for example, to the tiny LiDAR, where this one was very difficult to access. Here it's not so hard to press start recording or stop recording. You have to know that by default the auto recording is turned off. So you will have to insert the OSD menu board here like this, okay, like this, and to power with a LiPo to access to the built-in parameter of the codecs, and then select the video to turn off the auto recording at boot. It's up to you. If you want this one, you have at least only one unique press at the end of your flight to stop recording. You have to know that if you crash and the current saving is not completely done, the next time you will boot the machine, it will complete the file, and you should at least save part of your previous flight session ended with a crash episode. So at least is the worst scenario. So let's continue with this structure. We have here the 5.8 GHz linear antenna, and just behind we have the XM antenna, and this is very close to each other. And another maybe disadvantage is, where is the bind button? Because on the instruction it says just press the bind button. Where is it? No photos at all. And I will tell you that for the XM at least, I will try to zoom. You have to gently bend the guard like this, and at the end of the peak of my tool you will find the push bind button here. So how to bind? You have to keep it pressed, okay, and then either by the XT30 or by the USB power the machine, and then enter into the binding mode of your FierceSky compatible D16 radio. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. You have maybe with such kind of tools, or maybe with some, if you have maybe your thin thumb, you can access to it by binding the okay, so it's not so obvious, okay, but at least easier. It's an XM, not an XM Plus. The range is a little bit reduced, and no RSSI for the telemetry or the OSD. That's the inconvenience of this receiver. That's really a drawback. So we won't enjoy any RSSI feedback at all. Okay, that's live. What can I say about the guards? Look, that the Duke system is simple. In case of frontal crash, I'm afraid that the branch will break. We don't have the new type of Duke branch system with ending with a dual one, like any new, I will say, Tiny Whoop 75 system, and thanks to this new type of ending branch, it's much more resistant. Here is not the case, so I'm afraid that Virtuous crash of the Duke system will break and will be killed, and you will probably need to fly without the guard system. Okay, so it's completing the tour. For the durability, I cannot guarantee that it's very crash resistant, but at least if it's jello free, I don't ask anything else, because this machine is used more to fly in a low riding condition, more or less in high speed, to shoot some jello-free 1080p videos for sports action, for example. Of course, we will check that in the field. So now it's time to go in beta flight configurator. I said it's an old one, beta flight 3.5.6. Okay, bait, and if you need to flash the 40, it's up to you, but I will keep this one. I will show you the default parameters, make some little optimization, at least for the flight modes and for the receiver, and that's all, and then go to the field. Okay, so let's start beta flight and check that the default configuration. I'm using the old Chrome application because it's an old beta flight version. Okay, so let's immediately see the different UART used. We have for the receiver, here the Fiasca XM, the UART you used, and don't forget for the UART one that to select the smart audio to enjoy these nice features. In terms of configuration, what we have a basic Quad X, this Shock 600 selected by default. Be aware in terms of board alignment, the omnibus is flipped in the y-axis of 90 degrees. So if you upgrade your beta flight, don't forget to adjust these settings. It will be very important. In terms of speed and frequency, 8 kilo for the gyro update, 2 kilos only, and well, at least we can see that we are using only 30%, so it should be okay. We can turn off the parameters because we don't use it, we don't have one, and voila. For in terms of receiver, for the XM, we have a serial based, and more particularly select the S bus. And in terms of flight mode, we have the air mode, whatever selected, whatever the flight mode. So I will turn off this one. The anti-gravity as well, but I will keep the dynamic filtering, so I will save that. Save and reboot. So I will connect one more time. Okay, connecting. Sometimes it's slow with the F3 board. Let's continue. Power and battery, nothing special to say. Fail safe is a basic one. PID tunings. So it's more or less okay, but the default beta flight 3.5 branch, I will adjust with my default settings, something like this. Okay, more something linear. And for the yaw and pitch, something like this. Okay, 700, and we can enjoy something like this, about 800 degrees per second. Sounds good. In terms of PE filtering, we have the default settings. Let's save that. Okay, we're ready at least for the PID setting. For the receiver, so I already bind the machine with the XM receiver, as I mentioned in the previous part. If you have a Taranis, please select the correct channel mapping. Since I'm using a jumper, I'm okay. So the first channel is starting with Aeron, then elevator, and so on. I got the jumper here, okay, bound, and as you can see, it's working. I will apply a dead band, okay, as well for the dead band, okay, and I will save that. You can see my two three position switches here, aux1 and aux2, and I've got also the here will be for my dual rate, but is not in a setting of beta flight. Let's continue with the flight mode. So by default you have arming for the aux1. We don't have any buzzer, unfortunately, so we see we don't have yet the firmware compatible to have the beacon buzzer for the poor man. So you will need to upgrade to enjoy these features, at least to have a minimum buzzer. But let's bring in the ESC and motors. So in terms of flight mode, I will just apply angle only when my aux2 will be in the bottom position. Okay, no, sorry, in angle mode, so in the upper position. Then I will adjust angle mode for aux2. Okay, I can adjust like this, will be okay. And then will be in acro, so but adding anti-gravity, and I will want to add the air mode as well. Okay, like this. I will save that. So let's check that. Okay, I am in acro, plus anti-gravity. I am in Nox 2, that's great. And you can see that you have a flip over crash, it's up to you, but probably you will need some already last BLLE firmware compatible to enjoy these features. You can parallelize, you have the VTX pit mode and so on. So I will keep like this, the flight mode with the default Betaflight firmware. In terms of OSD, we have the basic one, so I will keep in NTSC, blah blah blah. I will flight mode, I will put instead display the timer 2. RSSI value, we don't have it. Flight mode, VTX sounds good. And I will also display the throttle position and maybe apply more in the middle like this. And then apply a font manager. I will select the, sorry, I have to move that, the clarity one. I will upload the font. Probably I will need to save before. I don't know if it will auto reboot or not. I can't remember well. So I will, it's rebooting, so I will have to redo the OSD settings. Okay. So throttle position. NTSC. And save that. And timer 2 instead of timer 1. Okay. And we are ready to go. So I think now it's time to go in the field. I will start in 2S with the default shipped battery, but this one can accept in 3S. We will see if to shoot some very stable 1080p 60 frames per second, we need only the 2S, or 3S is still acceptable. Let's go in the field right now. So after, well, a couple of 2-minute flights, after the first one, I crack the very thin plastic tabs located front holding the camera, so the design is pretty poor. I don't know, they had some dampening ball here to amortize, but the weakest element are here, these two plastic tabs holding the camera, so it's a very bad design point of view. But as you will see, I've got an even more biggest problem, okay, because it can be fixed by epoxy glue and be okay, but unfortunately now I've got another major problems, and it's not linked with this drone because it's flying correctly, almost beautifully, but look, have a look to the Cadex Turtle V2. Ta-da-da. I got the famous problem, so-called the yellow screen of the desk. It means that now it's freezing in this situation, no more FPV feedback at all. So it's a known problem from the Cadex Turtle V2. And there is a potential fix, not working for everyone, but it may work. Is to remove the camera and to remove the board here, okay, behind the lens. So you have 4 screws, you can remove this electronic board, and you have to put this board SMD components face up into a oven preheated at 180 degrees, okay, during 7 minutes at 880 degrees Celsius. And in this situation, the melting job is done by the oven, and the Cadex Turtle may reworks, okay. So it's not a 100% working fix, but can work and work from a lot of users. It's a non-problem from this camera. I'm very disappointed because it's a pretty nice camera, by the way, but unfortunately in this Armor 85 HD it killed the product, so I only managed to flew it with the FPV feedback during 4 minutes. That's all, nothing else. And so can I recommend this product? Unfortunately not. It's not possible due to the structure problem and due to the usage of the Cadex V2, not fixed one. Now I know there is some fixed batch of the Turtle V2, so unfortunately it's not the case here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this new video. If you like it, please submit, and see you next time. Bye bye.